guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you another Recent Reads video. As always, I got 3 books to talk about, so let's just get right into it. The first book that I finished recently was Anne of Ingleside. This is the 6th book in the Anne of Green Gables series by Montgomery, and I know I keep talking about all these Anne books, but I just read, one every month in quick succession. So after having such a good time reading Anne's House of Dreams in the last week of March, I decided to go ahead and pick this one up in the first week of April. And unfortunately, I did not enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed House of Dreams or any of the other books. This one is following Anne to an extent, but then it's mostly following her 6 children. She starts the book with 5, and then in the course of the book, another one is born, Rilla, the last one. And so we see each of her 5 children, older 5 children, go through an episode, and then some of the children have more than one episode. And as I said, Anne does feature in it up to a point, including the last few chapters are predominantly focused on Anne and Gilbert and their relationship. But it's not the same when it's the kids, because Anne is the reason why you fall in love with the series, and then in the later books you get to the kids, and it's just not the same. So I enjoyed this, and I also am wondering if there was, a connection between reading the House of Dreams and then this one, one week and then the next week. It might have affected my enjoyment, but overall, this was a good book. I still enjoyed it, but I gave it 4 stars versus the other books I all gave 5 stars. So I think in the future when I reread the books, I might not reread the later books, although I'm definitely intending to continue with 7 and 8 on this reread. But yeah, and it's kind of a bummer because this is my favorite cover out of this whole series. I just love the green. I love how bright the hair is on Anne and her daughter Diana right here. I love the flowers. I love the spring vibe. This is often a book that I mention when I'm talking about my favorite book covers. So it was a little bit of a disappointment that I didn't enjoy it as much. Not that I didn't like it, it's just I didn't love it as much as the other 4 books. Or 4 books? Yeah, 4 books. I then read The Restaurant at the End of the Universe by Douglas Adams. This is the 2nd book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. I read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for the first time back in 2019, and I had this one on my shelf to read, so I figured I'd go ahead and get to it. It's a really short little book. It took me, only a couple days to read this. I listened to it on audio. Morgan Freeman, who plays the Arthur Dent in the movie, narrated this book. This is following Arthur Dent and Ford Prefect and Beetlebox, and all of the other people on the ship, the Heart of Gold ship. In the last book, the first book, they were trying to find the answer to life. They discovered that the answer to life is 42, and now they're trying to go back and figure out what the question that equals 42 is. And so they're traveling around the universe in their ship, the Heart of Gold, which they stole in the previous book. And so we're just following them on their adventures. This is a fast, quick read. It's not really my kind of thing, but I'm reading up the books to get them off my shelf. I enjoyed it. It's the zany, crazy, improbable science fiction kind of book, and Douglas Adams is, got a very zany sense of humor. But overall, this was okay. It's nothing that I would reread or anything. But yeah, I know some people really love this series. Felicia at the Little Prairie Library loves the series and talks about it a lot. So yeah, I know some people love it. It's just not my kind of book. Finally, I recently read The Dinner List by Rebecca Serle. This has been on my TBR since 2018 when it was first coming out, and so I finally decided it was time to pick it up. I had space on my schedule for a non-list book. If you're new here, I got this big list of books, all of the books I've owned since all the books I own that I haven't read, all the books that have been on my TBR since 2014, all of the books I want to reread, and all of my 20 longest books on my TBR. And so I have a very structured plan every month where I'm trying to read 4 books every month to get these books off of my list. But anyway, so I read all my list books for the month, so I had some time for some fun books. So one of the fun books was this one, and this is following a 30-year-old woman named Sabrina. She shows up at her 30th birthday party, or birthday dinner, expecting only her best friend Jessica to be there. And her Jessica is there, but then there's also 4 other people. And they are Audrey Hepburn, the movie star, her favorite professor from college, Conrad, her estranged father, Robert, and her ex-boyfriend, Tobias. And so we are following these 6 individuals as they eat dinner together over the span of one night, but then we are also going back into the past to see Tobias and Sabrina's relationship and how it started, how it went while they were dating, and then how it ended. And this is a very quick read. It's a contemporary story. I think it's meant to be set in 2018 when it is released. So Sabrina has some lingering issues with Robert, who abandoned her family when she was a young girl, and then also Tobias, who she ended the relationship with on kind of a bad note, and she often thought that Tobias was the love of her life, and so they're sort of trying to see what went wrong, and also whether or not they could get back together at the end of the night. So this was a pretty interesting book, but it wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. I didn't really know much about this book except the fact that it's set around the premise that, there's always those questions about, like, who would you eat dinner with if you could eat dinner with anybody, dead or alive? And this book is going off of that question. And so I thought it was going to be more like there were all these different celebrities at the dinner. I had heard about Audrey Hepburn being there, but it was ended up that Audrey Hepburn was the only celebrity, and the rest were people from her past and from her present, and people that she had started having problems with and that she had unfinished business with. And so it was very much more about her relationship with Tobias rather than anything else, although again, Robert is estranged, and so she does have some lingering problems with Robert, and also she and Jess have sort of grown apart due to the differences in their lives. And also, so I'm 30, I'm about to turn 31 next month, and so the fact that Sabrina is 30 made me very interested to see how our lives are similar. And I will say our lives are not very similar at all. She lives in New York and she works in the publishing business. And also, I kept thinking about Saint X, which is a book I read in March for March Mystery Madness, because the main character in that book works in New York in publishing, and so it was a very similar type of character. And so, I don't know, I just find it hard to connect with people who work in the publishing industry and also live in New York City. So overall, I thought it was cute and it was a fun read and it was a quick read, but it isn't something I would ever reread, and I don't know if I would recommend it unless you're looking for like a beach read, something to take on vacation that you're not going to remember once you get home. But overall, it was cute. The relationship between Tobias and Sabrina was okay, but it wasn't like a love story I would aspire to. But overall, this was a very quick, fun, contemporary read. So that's all I've been reading lately. Currently, I'm reading The Invisible Life by Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab, which is my book club's pick for April, and it's going well so far. I just started it this morning. Today's my day off, so I had a very lazy morning reading, and then I did some cleaning, and now I'm trying to get this filmed before I go out on my walk. It's supposed to rain later today, so I want to get all my business done so that by the time it's raining, I can be snuggled up in my apartment. So Addie LaRue's doing great, and I'm sure you'll hear about it in my next recent reads. I hope everybody else is keeping safe and healthy, and you're reading some great books, and you have plans for a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!